Very good morning, my dear students. I hope everybody is doing good. Let's continue with the new chapter called Gravitation. So, what I have told you already, after the work, energy, and power chapter, there is a chapter called System of Particles and Rotatory Motion, my dear students. As we will be unable to finish that system of particles and rotatory motion in this session, in this month, as we get very less number of classes, we will able to finish the gravitation chapter, which is a very small and easy chapter, which you have the basics from your 9th and 10th standards. So that's the reason we have selected this chapter to finish it up. After this chapter, so system of particles chapter will be there, which takes a little more time than this, right? So let's continue the gravitation chapter. So the first thing in this gravitation chapter we must learn is Kepler's laws of planetary motion. Kepler's laws of planetary motion. That's the first topic we must learn, my dear students. So, like how we have got Newton's 3 laws of motion, first law, second law, and third law, here Kepler's laws of planetary motion are also 3, right? So, there are 3 laws. What are those and all we'll discuss later. Kepler's laws of planetary motion, how the planets will be revolving around the sun. That's given by Kepler's laws of planetary motion. So the first law, let's discuss. So first law of the Kepler ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, look at the situation. This is the ellipse. Careful ಆಗಿ observe ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. This is the ellipse. And this is the ellipse will have 2 axes. And if you consider this is x-axis and this is y-axis, careful ಆಗಿ observe ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. And this is the O, point O, the center of the ellipse. And how this ellipse was formed? This ellipse was formed like this. Imagine this is the circle. And this circle is compressed like this. E kadeinda and E kadeinda. If you compress and you get this shape. How much of the oval shape is attained by an ellipse is given by a physical quantity called E, and that E is called eccentricity, my dear student. So what is this eccentricity? And this value will gives you how much of the oval shape is given for this ellipse. So by applying a compressive forces from both the ends, there is a formation of the ellipse. How much of the oval shape is there for that particular ellipse? And we get to know by using this value called eccentricity. Eccentricity value will be there for any ellipse you consider. So this is the mathematics. This is the basic mathematics. And this eccentricity value will be lesser than 1 and greater than 0 always. Everybody. Coming back to this. And this is the axis. So imagine this is a point A and this is the point B of the ellipse. And this is the point C and this is the point D. Alright? And this is the axis, so that's called a major axis, my dear student. And this is the axis CD, and that's called the minor axis, my dear students. So major axis and minor axis, I hope it's very clear to you. The horizontal axis, which is called the major axis, the vertical axis, which is the minor axis from here to here. There is the center of the ellipse. Now, half of this major axis, let's take from here to here. So this is called semi-major axis. What is that? Half of the major axis? Semi-major axis. And half of this minor axis, I can say that is semi-minor axis, my dear students. Understand? So I can say this OB is the semi-major axis and this is semi-minor axis. All right. Now, coming back to the situation. And this is the ellipse will have two focus. So this is the point. Andre, half of the semi-major axis point is called focus. Number one, first focus. And the other half will be there for the other semi-major axis. And this semi-major axis also will have another focus. So this is F2, notary, everybody. There will be two focus for the ellipse and those two focus are called in a plural form called foci. What is that? Foci. Foci. F-O-C-I-I. That's a plural form of focus. Focus 1 and focus 2. Okay. Now, Kepler's first law states that, I'm just writing the statement here. Listen. Kepler's first law states that, it states that all the planets revolve around the sun in an elliptical orbit such that the sun lies at one of the foci. That's it. Kepler's first law states that all the planets are revolving around the sun in an elliptical orbit, and this is the first law is called law of orbits because it is talking about the orbits, how the planets will be revolving around the sun. It is talking about that. Okay, it states that all planets revolves around the sun in an elliptical orbit such that the sun lies at one of the foci. Sun lies here or here. For example, the particle of mass m is revolving here from point A to the point C to the point B, right? The planet is revolving around the sun. Sun will not stay at the middle, my dear students. According to the Kepler's first law, sun lies at one of the foci, that may be here or here. And let's imagine, so this is the position of the sun. This is the position of the sun. Let's imagine. Alright? Now there are many things to be understood here. And this is sun's position S and it's OAB, right? So from this ellipse, the eccentricity, I can write an expression. Eccentricity is equal to SO divided by OA. So this is SO divided by OA. SO andre idamma. Alright? OA andre idu. This is what? A semi-major axis. Understand? So what I can write? SO divided by semi-major axis. OA and the semi-major axis. It's A. So I can clearly write SO is equal to AE. Carefully observe madri. And keep it here. Keep it here. Keep it here. Carefully observe. Coming to the point. During this planet revolution around the sun, at some points planet will be close to the sun, at some points planets will be farther away from the sun. So let's consider the points A and B here, and this is the sun's location. At A, the planet is very close to the sun. At B, the planet is far away from the sun. Alright? Writing here R1 or RA, position of the planet from the sun, and this is RB. Carefully see, RB, position of the planet from the sun. RA and RB are positions of the planets. positions of the planets from the sun, my dear students. Everybody. Position of the planets from the sun. Alright. And coming back to the concept called eccentricity here. And this is the point when the planet is close to the sun. And this is the point called perihelion point. When the planet is at a point which is far away from the sun, and this is the point called aphelion point. Aphelion point. Alright? And there is a distance between these two. So what is that distance? RA. And that distance is called perigee. Right? What is that distance? RA. RA is equal to perigee. Or perigee also some people will say. No problem. So this RA, I can write it as OA minus SO. See, I need this RA. RA you will get it from OA minus SO. OA minus SO is equal to perigee. OA andre it is A, semi-major axis. Minus SO andre AE. So that is equal to perigee. And you are A into 1 minus E. So that's perigee. Okay. Now, if you want RB, RB is called apogee. What is RB? From here to here, that's called apogee. The distance between the sun and the planet's position, which is far away from the sun, that's called apogee. And apogee finding is so simple. SO plus OB, right? So RB is equal to SO plus OB, and RB is equal to SO andre AE plus OB andre illinda illige. So that illinda illige, that's already written as A. So which is semi-major axis. So now here apogee, I can write it as A is taken common. It's 1 plus E, my dear students. And RA by RB. Sometimes the question can be asked like this. Perigee distance by apogee distance. Both are the distances only. From here to here. Both are the distances only. So what is this? RA is the perigee, which is A into 1 minus E divided by A into 1 plus E. So 1 minus E by 1 plus E. So that's the ratio of perigee to the apogee. Itara questions also can be asked. E value ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ 1 by 2 ಅಂತ. You can find E value. Eccentricity of this elliptical path, you can find it. Right? In one of the NEET exams, so the direct relation E tara, it's asked. And most of the students will leave this simply by learning the definition or the statement of the first law. They'll stop learning it. But if we are not like that, there is no difference between the other people and us. If we also learn only the statement of the Kepler's first law, right? So this is the lot of information I have given about the Kepler's first law. We have started with the first law is also called law of orbits. Then about the ellipse we have discussed. So then here only what is eccentricity anta ನಾವು discuss ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. What is semi-major axis, what is semi-minor axis, and what is the concept of focus. ಆಮೇಲೆ eccentricity ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, and what is the expression for eccentricity. So after that the statement, according to the statement, there is a perigee and the apogee distances we have discussed. After that, the ratio of perigee to the apogee we have done it. Alright, so this is about the first law. And the Kepler's second law we will be discussing right now. Kepler's second law of planetary motion. This Kepler's second law of planetary motion is also called as a law of areas, my dear students. Law of areas. So I'm just drawing the same elliptical path here, and we know, and this is what our major axis, and this is what our minor axis, and this is O, and this is the initial position of the planet, and this is the sun position also, my dear students, the sun position. Observe everybody. And this is the planet position called B here. Alright. Now, imagine this is the line. Initially mass of the planet is m. Okay, at this point. So there is a line joining the planet and the sun. Carefully see. When the planet is moving from here to here, observe, when the planet is moving from here to here, so A to A dash at the point, the planet is moved from where to where? From A to A dash. So when it comes to A dash, there is a line joining the planet and the sun. So this is the planet. This is the planet. Okay. This is the planet whose mass is here. And at the same time, after some time, there is a point, a B dash here. Carefully observe, my dear. Imagine that's a B dash. Alright. So here there is a line joining the sun and the planet at a point B, and at the same way, when it comes to B dash, whose mass is m, when it comes to B dash, there is a line joining between the sun and the planet. Carefully see. It's all about the line joining between the planet and the sun. It's all about the line joining between the planet and the sun, my dear students. So, here there is an area swept by this line joining the planet and the sun. So, this is the line which is sweeping out some area here. And here also same thing. When it moves from B to B dash, here also this is the line joining the sun and the planet is sweeping out some area here. Sweeping out some area here. Imagine the time taken by the planet to move from A to A dash is 22 days, Ankolrama, for example. So the same time if it is taking, imagine from B to B dash also, same 22 days is taken to move a planet from one place to another place. Then automatically the area covered here, imagine the area covered here is dA anta. Imagine the total area covered here is dA. Both will be same. When time taken by the planet to move from one place to another place is same in both the cases, and the area swept is also automatically same anta. So that's the Kepler's second law of planetary motion, my dear students. And it's all about the law of areas, you see. The area covered here from B to B dash. What is covering area here? The line joining the planet and the sun is covering this area dA. The line joining the sun and the planet is covering the area dA. When time intervals are same in both the cases, automatically the areas covered also will be same. And Kepler's second last statement I am going to write now. Listen carefully. It states that the line joining the planet and the sun sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time. Equal areas in equal intervals of time. So, equal areas in equal intervals of time. What I can write? So, the conclusion of this, you know, so that is aerial velocity of a planet is constant antara. Aerial velocity of a planet is constant. You know what is aerial velocity? Generally velocity andre enama? Displacement by time. Aerial velocity andre aerial displacement by time. Once again I am telling you, generally velocity andre displacement by time anta meaning. Here aerial velocity anta idare andre, so aerial displacement by time. Here aerial displacement illi kaanasta ide nodri, dA is aerial displacement by dt is 22. And here also dA by 22. So aerial velocity of a planet is constant. Very, 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 very important expression I have told you. Aerial velocity of a planet is constant, and angular momentum of a planet is also constant, my dear students. Angular momentum of a planet is equal to constant. Angular momentum is denoted with the symbol L, which is equal to mass into velocity into distance, which is equal to constant. Nanbitkoli. So this is the formula is very, 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 very important. And about the detailed concept of angular momentum we will be discussing in the next chapter, my dear children. Next chapter called System of Particles and Rotatory Motion. Okay. Now, aerial velocity of a planet is constant and angular momentum of a planet is also constant. And there is a relation between aerial velocity and angular momentum. So that's what I'll be writing here. dA by dt is equal to L by 2m. In second PUC also this formula will be useful. The aerial velocity of a planet and angular momentum. In second PUC also it is very important. And Bitko everybody. And in one of the NEET exam, the question asked is like this. Which among the following graphs is correct representation? Y-axis is dA by dt, x-axis is t for a planet which is revolving around the sun. Which among the following graph is correct representation? Here the correct representation is one and only thing. dA by dt is constant for a planet revolving around the sun. dA by dt is constant. Constant, it is independent of the time here. dA by dt is independent of the time here. I hope you are understanding it, right? So just if you are understanding this, just write it in a group. Pause the video, write it in a group. Yes, we are understanding. Please go ahead. We are understanding. Please move on. Athara, you just type it now itself. So this is the previous NEET exam question. dA by dt is constant, right? If you message me, I'll understand that how many students are actively listening to the class at this particular moment. Okay? So after that, this is one important formula and this is one important graph and this is another important formula here. Okay? Alright, now coming back to L is equal to mvr, which is constant. So if I write L is equal to mvr, angular momentum of a planet at two positions, at this point, it's constant, I said, right? So LA is equal to LB. Andre angular momentum at any point constant ante. LA is equal to MA into VA into RA, which is equal to LB is MB into VB into RB. Carefully observe, my dear students, how important we are going to discuss. One very, very, very important thing we are going to learn. Right after this, the conclusion will come now. So mass of the planet at point A, mass of the planet at point B is same. Planet mass will never change. Now, VA RA is equal to VB RB. What does it mean? What does it mean? VA by VB is equal to RB by RA ante. What does it mean? Once again I am telling you, listen. So the velocity of a planet is inversely proportional to R. And what is this R, my dear students? R is this one. This is RA and this is RB. Carefully see. So this is RA and this is RB. RA andre the position of the planet from the sun. RB andre position of the planet from the sun, which is greater here. Which is greater? I can say clearly RB is greater than RA. when RB is greater than RA, as velocity of a planet at that point, velocity of a planet at this point is Vm, velocity of the planet at this point Vp. When R is inversely proportional to V, I can write Vb is less than Va, my dear students. You know, just importance is there for this expression. For this expression. Its importance is there, gotta nimge? No. According to this, velocity of the planet at point A is more. So, velocity of a planet at a point A is more than at point B, my dear students, than at point B. So, planet A at point A hatra velocity jasti ide anta. This is velocity Va and this is velocity Vb. Here, the velocity of a planet at point A more ante. But and this point is close to the sun. At this point, velocity kadime ide ante, and this point is far away from the sun. If you consider 2 points in the elliptical motion, the planet or the position which is close to the sun, at that position, speed of the planet is more. Very, very simple. When a planet is revolving around the sun in an elliptical path, as I have told you already, there are some points where the planet is far away from the sun. There are some points where the planet is close to the sun. When the planet is coming closer to the sun, it moves faster than that. So this is what we have got. RB is greater than RA and VB is less than VA. When the planet coming far and when the planet is coming close to the sun, it revolves faster. When the planet is moving away from the sun, it goes slower. So, whatever may be the situation, the aerial velocity of a planet is constant and angular momentum of a planet is constant. Understand? So, this is about Kepler's second law, which is also called law of areas, my dear students. Law of areas. Nodri, and this is what one ellipse we have considered, and this is our major axis and the minor axis, and this is the sun's location. This is the sun's location. So this is the point A, and there is a point B here, and there is a point C here. So they'll ask you to find relation of the velocities here. Velocity at a point A is greater than velocity at point B is greater than velocity of the planet when it comes to the point C. Same planet, not the 3 planets we have considered. Same planet is revolving from A in the C, C in the B. The point which is closer to the sun, where the planet moves faster, which is far away from the sun, at that point planet moves slower a step. So this is about Kepler's second law, and this is also in detail discussion like the first law we have made. It's not that simply finishing just by understanding the definition. Ataralla. The in detailed concept of Kepler's second law of motion we have discussed, and be careful about the graphs and this relation, my dear students. These 2 things and this one is very important, right? Clear? So let's move on to the Kepler's third law of planetary motion. So now the topic is Kepler's third law of planetary motion. You know, this third law of planetary motion is also called as law of periods. Here periods and there are time periods. This law will talk about the time period. Look at here. It states that the square of time period of a planet is directly proportional to the cube of semi major axis. So simple. Imagine a situation here, and this is what the ellipse we have, and this is minor axis and major axis. Semi major axis andre this A. Imagine the planet is moving from here. Time taken by the planet to finish one revolution is called the time period, and semi major axis is A. According to the statement, the square of the time period of a planet t square is directly proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis, and that is a cube. So this is the expression for third law, and this third law is also called as law of periods. T square is directly proportional to a cube. For your better understanding, my dear students, if I draw a circle here, circularly, this is a midpoint of the circle ankondre, and this is called the semi major axis agutte here also, because ellipse andre eno, it is circle only which is compressed and became the oval shape. So this is the semi major axis, and this semi major axis is nothing but the radius, right? And this expression, when it is applied to here, so that will be t square is directly proportional to r cube, and that we can write t1 by t2 whole square is equal to r1 by r2 whole cube, my dear students. So you may get a doubt that how can we write the elliptical shape into this circular shape? The study of the ellipse is little difficult than the study of the circle. The things involved in the circular motion can be studied easily. The things involved in the elliptical path, it cannot be studied easily in this first PUC and second PUC level. So that is the reason we can assume that the planets are revolving in the circular motion, my dear students. When the planets are revolving in the circular motion, then the time period is square is directly proportional to the cube of the semi-major axis. So T1 by T2 whole square, which is equal to R1 by R2 whole cube. Okay. Now, based on this, what kind of questions will be asked? Let's see. The question is, find R1 by R2. What is this R1 by R2? You know, radius of the planet called Saturn to the radius of the planet called Earth. Simple. So what is this? And what is the data they have given is time period of the Saturn is 27 years anta kottidrama. Simple. I hope you understand the question. It's a simple question. Idu nodri. T1 by T2 whole square is equal to R1 by R2 whole square, and this I can write time period of the Saturn divided by time period of the Earth whole square is equal to a radius of the Saturn planet by radius of the Earth. So this is the whole cube. They have only given time period of the Saturn is 27 years by time period of the Earth is 1 year. Alva. Time taken by the Earth to complete one revolution around the Sun. Istama. Time period of the Earth to finish one complete revolution around the Sun, it's 1 year. So that's what I have written. 27 years by 1 year whole square is equal to R1 by R2 whole cube. Okay. So that 27 I can write it as 3 cube. Right, whole square, which is equal to R1 by R2 whole cube, and this I can also write it as 3 cube whole to the power 2 by 3. ಈ 3 ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರೆ, so that will be r1 by r2. 3 gets cancelled. So what is the answer? R1 by R2 is equal to 9 by 1. So this is the answer, my dear students. ಈ ತರ questions ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, right? So for example, ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ radius of the Saturn also ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ, you can find the radius of the Earth. If the radius of the Earth mentioned ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, radius of the Saturn also you can find. So like these questions will be asked. And some new questions you can see in the assignment as well as in the exam, my dear students. Some new questions. You know, you might have, you can recollect. There is a mass m1, there is a mass m2 here, which are separated by a distance r, my dear students. There is a gravitational force of attraction between these two bodies, which is g m1 m2 by r square. Everybody knows about this equation. Universal law of gravitation. And this universal law of gravitation, so is derived from this Kepler's third law of planetary motion. Very, very, very important. This g m1 m2 by r square, it is the gravitational force equation between any two point masses, and this is the universal gravitational law. It is valid for the point masses. M1 m2 are the point masses. Okay. And this is what the expression is got from this Kepler's laws. It can be derived from the Kepler's laws, my dear students. Anyway, we are talking about the gravitational force, right? So the gravitational force. So there are so many things need to be learned about the gravitational force. And number one, it is the weakest fundamental force, my dear students. So the gravitational force is weakest fundamental force. And this gravitational force is the conservative force. So what is conservative force, Anta? We have discussed in work energy and power chapter. Ega, just pause the video and you all write the definition of what is a conservative force. Now in WhatsApp itself, write the definition of the conservative force. Everybody, what is the conservative force? Now, gravitational force is the weakest fundamental force and it is the conservative force, right? See here, it is always attractive in nature and it is independent of the medium. Okay, so these are called the properties of the gravitational force. And these gravitational forces are action and reaction pair, my dear students. Action and reaction pair. So what is this action and reaction pair? Look at here. And this is the body of mass m1 will attract m2 in this direction. And this m2 will attract m1 in this direction. See, action reaction forces. Right? So these are the properties of gravitational forces. About this we will be discussing in the next classes, right? The detailed concept of universal law of gravitation will continue in the next class, and just get ready for your assignment and evening exam based on Kepler's 3 laws of planetary motion, right? All the very best. Shining off. See you in the next class.